Let's start with the biggest story of the week. I think the one that's going to have the most implications, literally for decades to come. And we should say we're going to be talking the legal side of this a little bit later in the program with a guest who works on those issues. But I'm talking, of course, about the Brett Kavanaugh hearings that started this week with this is going to could have the potential of locking in a 5-4 majority of really hardcore conservatives on the court. All of this coming with the backdrop, of course, of Merrick Garland and Barack Obama being denied even a hearing for over a year regarding his nominee. And of course, the fact that the president of the United States is under investigation, everyone around him is under investigation. There have been multiple indictments of people very close to him, a rather inauspicious way or situation for someone to make such dramatic changes to the country. Give me your initial thoughts. I mean, the first day started with the Democrats basically trying to argue none of this is appropriate on procedural grounds because they had not gotten the documents that anybody had requested, including Chuck Grassley, the Republican head of the committee. And to the extent that they did get documents, something like 40 some odd thousand showed up 12 hours before the hearing began.
Well, that's right. And in fact, there were fireworks in the beginning. I thought it was really quite interesting. Apparently the Democrats decided to, work in tandem and make this point very clear that the process was tainted. And it has been. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're trying to, it's clear what's going on. They're trying to rush this through without doing a thorough investigation of Kavanaugh because he's a right-wing hack and has been his entire career. And a lot of what he's said and done that they're trying to cover up that's not in the sort of official record, his record as a judge, is probably pretty horrible. I mean, he was part of the Bush administration at a time when they were doing torture. They were trying to, kill Social Security. They were, moving against gay marriage. I mean, he was in there right in the mix. He was writing about it. He was giving his opinion, and they don't want any of that to come out. So, in fact, when Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois, came out and gave his first statement, or one of his first statements, he actually held up a big poster that was very illustrative of what they're doing. Blacked out he had the dates of Kavanaugh's, various production of documents. The blackout is completely during that period in the Bush administration, and it's very telling of what they're trying to cover up. And they're trying to cover up Kavanaugh's opinions on all these things that he is going to be ruling on as a Supreme Court justice. And these games that they're playing, they've got some lawyer, his name is William Burke, I think, who is, he also represents Don McGahn in the Mueller investigation and some other people involved in the Mueller investigation. But for some reason, they've allowed him to be the one to decide which documents are going to go to the committee.
Right.
He's just some lawyer. He's not a government employee. He's not an archivist. He has no authority. And all the Democrats were saying, who is this guy? Why are we listening to him? But that's the type of thing. There were dozens of those examples. And the Democrats actually, I thought, did a pretty good job of laying out this case against the process. I mean, they're kind of hamstrung in a lot of ways, and obviously in the minority, and with the Republicans just moving like a freight train to try and get this thing through before the midterms, knowing
and
that
we should.
this is a problem.
We should also, I should add, just remind people, there is no longer a filibuster.
Right.
The filibuster for the Supreme Court done away by Mitch McConnell and others, and so that is no longer an option. Prior to that, you had Harry Reid had done away with the filibuster for lower courts and for executive nominees because of the stonewalling during the Obama administration, and then McConnell took that a step further. So there is literally nothing for them to do at this point. I mean, other than at first get all the Democrats to vote against him, right?
Right.
And
Right. I mean, they have to do that much on a political basis. Their job is they have to hold the line with the Democrats, and granted, it's not easy because we've got at least 4 of them who are up for election in red states where they're coming under tremendous pressure to vote for Kavanaugh. I mean, I think you've got Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Manchin, who else?
well, you've got McCaskill, and
Joe Donnelly
O'Donnelly,
in
and
Indiana,
and Doug Jones in Alabama. But let
Right.
me ask you this. I mean, what form does that pressure take? Like, I mean, who really? Where is that pressure coming from? I mean,
Well,
I mean, I'm skeptical of that a little bit. I mean, it seems to me.
and we should be because there was an article that came out. I think it was on Tuesday, showing it was at the Intercept, I think, showing that whatever this pressure, where they've really got the grassroots up in arms over this, and they've really worked the grassroots to put pressure on all these red state Dems. It's nonsense. It's not actually happening. There haven't been more calls. There haven't been demonstrations. There haven't been people going to their offices. None of the signs of a true grassroots uprising over this issue is actually out there. So this may just be, typical propaganda to try and make people think that this is happening and to try and put institutional pressure on the Heitkamp, maybe
Right.
financial pressure. I would guess that's maybe where some of it's coming. I mean, let's face facts. I mean, Kavanaugh, and no different really than Kennedy, who he's replacing, as Senator Whitehouse laid out very clearly in his first presentation, which I thought was very well done, was going over what he calls the Roberts Five, which includes Kennedy and will now include Kavanaugh, on all this corporate, this absolute, voting in favor of corporations over and over and over again. The statistics are absolutely mind-boggling. If anybody gets a chance to go look at Whitehouse's presentation, I think it's on Medium, you can find it. And he, what he laid out is that this corporate agenda is already there and has been for some time. I mean, this is the Roberts Court, and he's got Gorsuch to replace Scalia, who was with him all the way on this stuff. They have Alito, they've got Thomas, they've got Roberts, and Kavanaugh will replace Kennedy, and all of that is already happening.
Right.
In where Kavanaugh's going to make the difference, of course, is on these social issues, these contentious social issues, where Kennedy would often, they'd broker some compromise, or he'd find some way to sort of, finesse it, and would vote on those issues. But on this corporate stuff, it's done, it's happening, and it's been happening.
And I think there's one other area, and of course we'll get into this later in the program, but I think we can anticipate Kavanaugh to really inhibit the ability of regulatory agencies to do their job, and say that they've exceeded their authority. This is the whole Chevron doctrine that'll come up later in the program. But right now, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about the other aspect of this, that it appears there's going to be a replacement for John McCain in the Senate, and I am quite sure this guy is going to vote to confirm Kavanaugh. We'll tell you why. I am not a clairvoyant, but I would bet everything I own on this, and I'll tell you why when we return. I'm Sam Seder. This is Ring of Fire Radio. We'll be right back with Digby.